Chloe's phone buzzed. Once, twice, 3 times. She stared at the screen, her stomach twisting tighter with each notification. The profile picture smiled back at her, a slim guy with perfect cheekbones, and an easy smile that had made her heart skip for 3 whole weeks of texting. "I'm here, can't wait to finally see you. Wearing a blue shirt like I said. Where are you? Hello, everything okay?" Nothing was okay. The man who just walked through the restaurant door was not the guy from those pictures, not even close. He was easily twice the size, his blue shirt straining across his belly, sweat already glistening on his round face as he held his phone to his ear, scanning the room desperately. Chloe watched in slow-motion horror as his lips moved in perfect sync with the voice now coming through her phone speaker. Her phone rang again. She looked down at the screen, then up at the sweating man searching the restaurant, then back at her phone. "No," she whispered to herself. "No, no, 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 no." But yes, oh absolutely yes, she'd been catfished. On Valentine's Day. In a red dress her best friend Yuna had spent an hour helping her pick out, with makeup that had taken 45 minutes to perfect, with hope that had been building for 3 solid weeks. The man was still calling, still searching, getting closer to her section of the restaurant. Chloe did the only thing her panicked brain could think of. She jabbed the silent button on her phone, grabbed her purse, and looked around frantically for somewhere, anywhere, to hide. The bathroom? No, he'd just wait outside. Another table? She'd look completely insane. Out the back exit? That felt too much like actually running away, which would be admitting defeat, and she wasn't quite ready for that level of mortification yet. Then she saw him. A man sitting alone at a corner table, perfectly still, perfectly composed. He wore an all-black suit that probably cost more than her rent. His face looked like it had been carved from stone, beautiful in a dangerous way, with sharp cheekbones, and eyes so dark they seemed to see everything. His black hair was styled back perfectly, not a strand out of place, and on the right side of his neck, just visible above his collar, was an intricate tattoo, a dragon that wrapped from behind his ear down toward his collarbone. Behind him stood another man, equally well dressed in a black suit, hands clasped in front of him like a bodyguard, his face serious and alert. Chloe didn't think. Thinking was clearly not her strong suit today. She just moved. 6 quick steps across the restaurant floor, her heels clicking against the polished wood, and she slid into the seat across from the stranger without invitation, without permission, without any plan whatsoever. She kept her head down, her hand flying up to cover half her face. The man didn't move, didn't speak, just stared at her with those impossibly dark, unreadable eyes. Behind him, the bodyguard's eyes widened in shock. His hand twitched toward the inside of his jacket, but the seated man made a small gesture with his fingers and the movement stopped instantly. "Please," Chloe whispered, still not looking directly at him, her hand still covering her face. "Please just pretend I'm your date. Just for 2 minutes, please." Silence. The kind of heavy silence that pressed against her eardrums and made her heart race even faster than it already was. The stranger didn't respond. He just watched her, his expression unreadable. Chloe kept her head down, her heart pounding. She could hear the heavy footsteps getting closer. The chubby man was still on his phone, still calling her, still searching. She peeked up at the stranger through her fingers. He was studying her carefully, his dark eyes taking in her panic, the way she kept glancing toward the restaurant entrance, the desperate plea in her body language. Then, slowly, he looked past her shoulder. His eyes tracked something, someone, moving through the restaurant. The chubby man, no doubt, still searching for his date. The stranger's gaze returned to her face. He was watching her closely, now, noting how she flinched every time she heard footsteps nearby, how her breathing had gone shallow, with panic. And then, impossibly, the corner of his mouth twitched. Not quite a smile. Something more subtle than that. Amusement, maybe, or curiosity. He leaned back slightly in his chair, still watching her with those intense dark eyes. Still saying nothing. Just observing. Chloe could see the chubby man in her peripheral vision now, walking between tables, phone pressed to his ear, his face red and sweaty as he searched. The stranger seemed to come to some kind of decision. He cleared his throat softly, his voice low and controlled when he finally spoke. "If we're going to pretend," he said quietly, his tone almost playful beneath the control, "we'll have to do it the right way." "What?" Chloe blinked at him, confused and desperate. He stood up smoothly, fluid and controlled, and extended his hand toward her like a gentleman from another era. Chloe stared at his offered hand like it might bite her. She had no idea what he was planning, but the chubby man was getting closer and she was out of options. She took his hand. His fingers closed around hers, warm and secure, and he pulled her gently to her feet. Before she could ask what was happening, he was leading her away from the table. But he wasn't leading her toward the exit. He was leading her toward the center of the restaurant, where a small area had been cleared for dancing. Because of course there was dancing. It was Valentine's Day. "What are you doing?" she whispered urgently. He didn't answer. He just turned to face her, his hand settling on her lower back, warm through the thin fabric of her red dress. His other hand took hers properly, and suddenly they were dancing. Chloe's mind went completely blank. They were dancing. She was dancing with a complete stranger, a beautiful, dangerous-looking stranger with a neck tattoo and a bodyguard and eyes that seemed to see straight through her soul. His hand on her lower back was firm, guiding her through steps she didn't know. She stumbled slightly, but he steadied her, his grip secure. "Just follow me," he murmured, his voice close to her ear. So she did. Her feet somehow followed his lead, and they moved together across the small dance floor. Chloe became suddenly, acutely aware of everything. The warmth of his hand on her back, the solid strength of his shoulder under her other hand, the way he smelled, expensive and clean. The way those dark eyes kept watching her face, studying her with an intensity that made her feel like she was the only person in the entire restaurant. They danced in silence. No small talk, no questions, just movement and proximity and the steady rhythm of the music. And something strange started happening in Chloe's chest. A flutter, a pull. Something she absolutely did not have time for and definitely shouldn't be feeling for a stranger who was only helping her out of pity or amusement or boredom. But there it was anyway. That feeling. She looked up at him, really looked at him, and found him already looking back. His dark eyes held hers, and for a moment the entire restaurant seemed to fade away. Her breath caught, his hand on her back pressed slightly firmer, pulling her incrementally closer. The song kept playing, they kept dancing, and Chloe felt herself falling into something she didn't understand and couldn't control. When the song finally ended, he didn't immediately let go. They stood there for a moment, still close, still connected, neither wanting to break whatever had just happened between them. Then, without a word, he led her back to his table. Chloe sat down, her heart still racing, her skin still tingling where he'd touched her. The stranger sat across from her, his expression unreadable again, but something had shifted in his eyes, something warmer. He raised his hand, and a waiter appeared instantly. The stranger ordered food without looking at a menu, his voice calm and authoritative. The waiter nodded and disappeared. Chloe sat there, completely confused about what was happening. The stranger had saved her from the catfish. He'd danced with her. And now he was ordering her dinner? She should leave. She should thank him and go. This was insane. But she didn't move. The food started arriving, course after course of beautiful, perfectly prepared Korean dishes. The stranger ate calmly, occasionally glancing up at her, but he didn't try to make conversation. Didn't ask questions, just ate. Chloe picked at her food, her stomach in knots. Not because the food was bad, it was incredible, but because she was sitting across from a complete stranger. A stranger she'd just danced with. A stranger who'd made her feel things she had no business feeling. She snuck glances at him between bites, the sharp line of his jaw, the way his hands moved, precise and controlled, the tattoo on his neck that marked him as someone dangerous, someone she should stay away from. But when he'd held her on the dance floor, she'd felt safe, protected, seen. And now, sitting here in silence, eating food he'd ordered for her, she felt that same pull getting stronger, that same inexplicable attraction that made no sense but felt completely real. This was dangerous. This was stupid. She didn't even know his name, but God, she wanted to. The meal continued in near silence. Occasionally their eyes would meet across the table, and something electric would pass between them before one of them looked away. Chloe's heart wouldn't stop racing. Her hands were shaking slightly. She felt completely overwhelmed by feelings she didn't understand. She couldn't do this. She couldn't sit here feeling like this for a stranger. This was too much, too fast, too intense. She suddenly dropped her fork and knife onto her plate with a clatter. The stranger looked up, his dark eyes questioning. "I have to go," Chloe blurted out, standing up abruptly. Thank you for today. Thank you for saving me, thank you for everything. But I really have to go now." She grabbed her purse, not even looking at him, and practically ran for the exit. Behind her she heard nothing, no protest, no attempt to stop her. She burst out of the restaurant into the cool night air, her heart pounding, her whole body trembling with emotions she couldn't name. What had just happened? Who was that man? And why did leaving him feel like the hardest thing she'd ever done? If you're already invested in this story, go ahead and hit that like button, because this is just the beginning. Chloe didn't stop moving until she was 3 blocks away from the restaurant. Then she leaned against a building, breathing hard, her mind racing. She'd just done the most insane thing of her life. She'd crashed a stranger's table, danced with him, ate dinner with him, and then run away like Cinderella, except without leaving a shoe behind and with significantly more panic. She pulled out her phone and called an Uber, her hands still shaking. The ride home was a blur. All she could think about was his hands on her back, his eyes watching her, the way her heart had refused to beat normally the entire time she was near him. When she finally got to her apartment building, she ran up the stairs, the elevator was too slow, and fumbled with her keys, barely managing to get the door open. She went straight to her room, threw herself face down on her bed, and screamed into her pillow. A full, lung-emptying, soul-deep scream of confusion and frustration and overwhelming feelings. What the hell was that? Seconds later, her bedroom door burst open. Yuna stood there in her pajamas, eyes wide with alarm. What happened? What's wrong? Did he hurt you? Chloe screamed into her pillow again. Chloe, talk to me. What happened with the date? Chloe finally lifted her face from the pillow, her hair a mess, her makeup smudged, her expression completely wild. He wasn't the guy from the pictures. Yuna's face fell. Oh no. He catfished you? Yes. He was completely different. Fat and sweaty and nothing like his profile, and I panicked. What did you do? Chloe covered her face with her hands. I sat at a stranger's table. You what? There was this guy, sitting alone, and I sat down at his table without asking and begged him to pretend I was his date. Yuna's mouth fell open. You did not. I did. And he... Chloe's voice broke. He actually helped me. He took me to the dance floor and we danced and the catfish saw us and left and then he ordered me dinner and we ate and I ran. I couldn't handle it. I just ran away. Wait. Yuna sat down on the bed, her expression shifting from concern to intense curiosity. Go back. Who was this guy? What did he look like? Handsome. Really handsome. Korean. Black hair, perfect suit, and he had this tattoo on his neck. A tattoo? Yeah, like a dragon or something. It was really detailed. And he had this guy standing behind him the whole time like a bodyguard. A bodyguard? Yuna's eyes narrowed. Chloe, what kind of guy has a bodyguard at a restaurant? I don't know. I don't know anything about him. We barely talked. We just danced and ate and I felt... God, Yuna. I felt things I've never felt before. My heart wouldn't stop racing. I couldn't think straight. I looked at him and it was like everything else disappeared. You're describing attraction. I'm describing insanity. I don't even know his name. Did you get his number? No, I ran away like an idiot. Yuna was quiet for a moment, processing everything. So let me get this straight. You got catfished, sat at a random hot guy's table, he saved you by dancing with you, bought you dinner, and then you ran away? Yes. And you felt something for him. Yes. Something strong. Chloe buried her face in her pillow again. Yes, girl. Yuna lay down next to her, staring at the ceiling. That's the most romantic and chaotic thing I've ever heard. Also the most stupid but mostly romantic. I know. What are you going to do? Nothing. I'm never going to see him again. I don't even know who he is. It was just one of those things. A weird, impossible moment that will never happen again. Maybe that's for the best, Yuna said softly. A guy with a bodyguard and a neck tattoo? That screams dangerous, Chloe. I know, but even as she said it, even as she agreed, Chloe couldn't stop thinking about the way he'd looked at her, the way he'd held her, the way she'd felt completely safe in the arms of a complete stranger. She touched her lips, remembering the way her breath had caught when he'd pulled her close during the dance. At least you had an interesting Valentine's Day, Yuna offered. Better than sitting home alone. You sat home alone? Yeah. Watched K-dramas on my laptop, ate an entire pint of ice cream, living the dream. Yuna rolled over to look at Chloe. But seriously, are you okay, like, emotionally? I don't know, Chloe admitted. I feel confused, overwhelmed, like something big just happened, but I don't know what it means. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Maybe it was just a nice guy helping you out of a bad situation. Maybe. But Chloe didn't believe that. Something had happened between them during that dance. Something real and electric and terrifying. Get some sleep. Yuna said, standing up. Tomorrow this will all feel less intense. You'll go to work, everything will go back to normal, and this will just be a crazy story you tell at parties. Yeah, you're right. Yuna left, closing the door softly behind her. Chloe lay in the dark, still in her red dress, staring at the ceiling. She thought about his hands, his eyes, the way he'd smiled, barely, just a hint, when she'd been begging him to pretend. Tomorrow she'd go back to normal. Tomorrow this would all feel like a dream. Tomorrow. But tonight she fell asleep thinking about a stranger, with a dragon tattoo, and eyes that saw right through her. Later that night, Siwoo returned home to the traditional Korean house where his grandmother lived. The house was warm and inviting, filled with the scent of jasmine tea and the soft glow of paper lanterns. His grandmother was waiting in the living room, arms crossed, her face set in mock anger that didn't quite hide the twinkle in her eyes. "So," she said as he walked in, removing his jacket. "My grandson finally comes home." Siwoo paused, recognizing that tone. "Grandmother." "Valentine's Day," she continued, standing up and walking toward him with exaggerated indignation. "Valentine's Day. And where were you? Not with your grandmother who raised you, who loves you, who cooked your favorite foods. I was out." She poked his chest with her finger, but she was smiling now. "You were out doing who knows what while your poor grandmother sat here alone." Siwoo couldn't help but smile. Even the bodyguard standing near the entrance had a hint of amusement in his eyes. "I'm sorry, grandmother. Sorry? Sorry isn't enough." She wagged her finger at him. "You abandoned me on Valentine's Day. Do you know how that makes me feel? How can I make it up to you?" Her eyes lit up with mischief. "Ah, so now you want to make it up to me? Well then you can buy your poor neglected grandmother a gift. A nice gift. Something thoughtful. Not just money or jewelry like you usually do. Something that shows you actually thought about me." Siwoo laughed softly. His grandmother could manipulate him better than any business opponent ever could. "Yes, grandmother. I'll get you something special." "Good. Tomorrow. You go tomorrow and find me something beautiful." She patted his cheek affectionately, her mock anger completely dissolved. "Now tell me, where were you really? You came home, different, lighter." "Just dinner, grandmother. Just dinner doesn't make you hum. I don't hum." "You were humming when you walked in. I heard you." She studied his face carefully. "You met someone." Siwoo said nothing, but something in his expression must have given him away. His grandmother's face transformed with joy. "You did! You met someone! Oh, this is wonderful! Tell me about her." "There's nothing to tell. I helped someone. That's all." "Helped someone? On Valentine's Day? And came home humming?" She shook her head, grinning. "My grandson, you are a terrible liar. But fine, keep your secrets. For now, just don't forget my gift. Tomorrow." Siwoo kissed her forehead. "I won't forget." That night he lay in bed thinking about a woman in a red dress who'd crashed his table with such desperate courage, who'd danced with him like she belonged in his arms, who'd run away before he could even learn more than her first name. Chloe. He found himself hoping he'd see her again. The next day, Siwoo decided to fulfill his promise. His grandmother deserved something special, something chosen with care. He instructed his driver to take him to the shopping district, looking for a gift shop that might have traditional items his grandmother would appreciate. They passed several stores before one caught his eye, a charming little shop with a blue awning and a window display of carefully arranged gifts. "Here," he told the driver. The bodyguard exited first, checking the area out of habit, before nodding to Siwoo. Siwoo walked toward the gift shop, pushing open the door. A small chime announced his entrance. The shop was cozy and well-organized, with shelves of decorative items, greeting cards, tea sets, and various gifts. Warm lighting gave it an inviting atmosphere. A young woman was at the front desk, her back partially turned as she organized something on the counter. Siwoo moved further into the shop, beginning to browse the displays, looking for something appropriate for his grandmother. Then the woman at the desk turned around. Siwoo's steps faltered. It was her, Chloe. The woman from the restaurant, standing right there behind the counter, her eyes widening in recognition and then pure panic. Their eyes locked for a single frozen moment. Then she ducked down behind the counter, disappearing from view completely. Siwoo blinked, processing what he'd just seen. Then, despite himself, he felt a smile tugging at his lips. She was hiding from him. Again. Behind him, the bodyguard had also noticed and was carefully keeping his expression neutral, though his eyes showed clear confusion. Saiwoo walked slowly toward the counter, his footsteps deliberate. He could practically feel her panic from the other side. He reached the counter and paused, looking down at the desk area where customers would stand. Nothing. Just the normal view of a gift shop counter from the front. Then he walked around to the employee side. And there she was. Chloe was crouched under the desk in the most awkward position imaginable, clearly trying to make herself as small as possible. Her eyes were squeezed shut like if she couldn't see him, he couldn't see her. Saiwoo stood there for a moment, just looking down at her, his amusement growing. "What are you doing?" he asked, his voice calm and genuinely curious. Her eyes snapped open. She looked up at him, her face a mixture of horror and embarrassment. I dropped something," she said quickly, her voice too high-pitched to be convincing. "Did you?" "Yes, my pen. I'm looking for my pen. It's very important." Saiwoo tilted his head slightly, his eyes scanning her. "Your pen, yes. Very important pen. Can't work without it." He said nothing, just continued to look down at her with that same amused, patient expression. Chloe made a show of patting the floor around her, pretending to search. "It's here somewhere. I just dropped it, just a second ago. Very clumsy of me." Siwoo's gaze traveled slowly from her face, up slightly, to where a pen was very clearly visible, tucked behind her right ear. He waited. Chloe kept searching the floor, her movements getting more desperate and less convincing. "It's a very special pen," she continued babbling. "Can't lose it. Need it for pen things, writing, you know." Saiwoo remained silent, just watching her with barely concealed amusement. Finally, as if sensing something, Chloe's hand drifted up unconsciously toward her ear. Her fingers touched the pen. She froze. Slowly, so slowly, she pulled the pen from behind her ear and looked at it like it had personally betrayed her. Her face went through several expressions in rapid succession: realization, horror, mortification, and the desperate wish for the floor to open up and swallow her whole. "I found it," she said weakly, holding up the pen. "I can see that." Chloe stayed crouched for another moment, as if hoping this would all go away. Then, with as much dignity as she could muster while unfolding herself from under a desk, she stood up. Her face was flushed with embarrassment. Her hair was slightly disheveled. She clutched the pen like a lifeline. "So," Saiwoo said, his voice gentle despite the amusement in his eyes. "You work here." "Yes. I work here. This is where I work. At this shop, the gift shop, where I work." She was babbling again. It was oddly endearing. "What are you doing here?" she asked, trying desperately to recover some professionalism. Saiwoo's lips twitched. "To book a plane ticket." Chloe blinked. "What? Isn't that what one does in a gift shop? Book plane tickets?" Despite her embarrassment, despite everything, Chloe felt a smile threatening. "Excuse me?" Saiwoo's expression softened slightly, becoming more serious. "I'm here to buy a gift, for someone special." And just like that, all the amusement drained from Chloe's face. Her smile faltered. Her heart did an uncomfortable twist in her chest. "Someone special." "Oh," she said, her voice smaller now, trying to keep her expression neutral. "Of course. Someone special. Right." She turned away slightly, busying herself with straightening items on the counter that didn't need straightening, trying to hide the sudden tightness in her chest. What kind of gift are you looking for?" Saiwoo watched her carefully, noticing the shift but saying nothing about it. "Something for an elderly woman. Very traditional. She appreciates natural beauty. Flowers, tea, simple elegance. An elderly woman." Chloe's mind immediately went to possibilities. His mother, his grandmother, or an older girlfriend? Did men date older women? Was that a thing in his world? "Stop it," she told herself. "It doesn't matter. He's just a customer." Except he wasn't just a customer, and they both knew it. "I have some tea sets," she said, forcing her voice to stay professional even though her hands were shaking slightly as she gestured toward a display. "And silk scarves with floral patterns. Some decorative items. Jewelry boxes." She led him through the shop, pointing out various options, explaining the craftsmanship and origins of different pieces. She was good at her job, knowledgeable and helpful, even while her heart was doing uncomfortable things and her mind was spinning, with questions she had no right to ask. Who was this someone special? Why did she even care? She'd met this man twice, danced with him once. This was insane. Saiwoo followed her through the shop, occasionally picking up items, examining them with genuine care and attention. He asked thoughtful questions about materials, about whether items were handmade, about traditional meanings. "This one," Chloe said, picking up an elegant tea set with hand-painted cherry blossoms, trying to focus on work and not on the ache in her chest. This is very traditional. The craftsmanship is excellent. Cherry blossoms they're symbolic, beauty. The fleeting nature of life. Renewal. Siwoo took the tea set carefully, turning it in his hands, examining the delicate painting with an expression that was almost tender. It's beautiful. The person you're buying it for, she has good taste, I assume. She does. She'll love this. There was such certainty in his voice, such affection, that Chloe felt her heart sink even further. Whoever this woman was, she was clearly important to him. I'll take it, Siwoo said, looking up from the tea set to meet Chloe's eyes. Great. I'll wrap it for you. They went back to the counter. Chloe wrapped the tea set with shaking hands, hyper-aware of Siwoo standing on the other side of the counter, watching her work. The silence felt heavy, loaded with things neither of them were saying. Thank you, Siwoo said when she handed him the wrapped package. For your help. That's my job, Chloe said, trying to smile but not quite managing it. Still. Thank you, Chloe. Hearing him say her name made her breath catch, even now, even while her heart was breaking over someone she had no claim to. He paid, with cash she noticed, not a card, and took the package. He started toward the door, the bodyguard opening it ahead of him. Then Siwoo paused at the threshold and looked back at her. Their eyes met across the shop. I'm glad I know where to find you now, he said quietly. Before Chloe could figure out how to respond, he was gone. She stood behind her counter, her heart racing, her mind spinning, her emotions a tangled mess of attraction and confusion and something that felt dangerously close to heartbreak. The rest of her shift passed in a blur. She helped other customers on autopilot, her mind replaying every moment, every word, trying to figure out what it all meant. When closing time finally came, she locked up the shop and went home in a daze. The moment she entered the apartment, she didn't even stop to say hello to Yuna. She went straight to her room, threw herself face down on the bed, and screamed into her pillow. A long, frustrated, confused, heartbroken scream. 3 seconds later, her bedroom door opened. Yuna stood there, one hand on her hip, an expression of amused resignation on her face. Oh dear, dear. Seems like this is your new style now, always screaming into pillows. Chloe sat up, her hair wild, her face flushed, her eyes suspiciously shiny. I saw him again today. Yuna walked in and sat on the bed. Who? The guy from last night, oh. Yuna's eyes widened. The guy you danced with and started having feelings for and ate dinner with? You mean that guy? There was no need for all the details, Yuna, Chloe said, but there was no real heat in it. Yuna laughed softly. Okay, so what happened? Where did you see him? He came to the shop. Chloe fell back on the bed dramatically, throwing her arm over her eyes. He came to buy a gift for someone special. She made exaggerated air quotes with her fingers, even though she was lying down and couldn't see Yuna's reaction. Yuna's expression shifted to concern. Someone special? Like a girlfriend? I don't know? Chloe's voice was muffled by her arm. He said he was shopping for an elderly woman. Traditional. Loves flowers and tea. Yuna relaxed slightly. Oh, well, that's probably his mom. Or his grandmother. Or his girlfriend, Chloe said miserably, removing her arm to look at Yuna. What if he's into older women? What if he has some sophisticated, older girlfriend and I've been here developing feelings like an idiot? Chloe, I can't believe I fell for someone like that. Chloe rolled over and buried her face in her pillow again, her voice muffled. Someone I don't even know, someone who's probably taken, someone who was just being nice and I read into it like a fool. Yuna sighed, patting her back. Girl, you are so dramatic. You don't even know who this someone special is, and yet you're acting like your heart is broken. It's probably his mother, or his grandmother. Not everything is romantic, but what if it is? Then you deal with it and move on. But you're getting ahead of yourself. Yuna paused. Actually, speaking of which, what's this guy's name? You still haven't told me. Chloe lifted her face from the pillow. I don't know. You still don't know his name? We didn't exchange names. Again. I was too busy being embarrassed because I hid under my desk and he found me with a pen behind my ear. You did what? Yuna's concern momentarily dissolved into laughter. You hid under your desk? I panicked. Oh my god, Chloe. Yuna was fully laughing now. You are a disaster. I know, Chloe moaned into her pillow. A few days later, on a quiet Thursday afternoon, An elderly Korean woman walked into the gift shop. She had sharp, intelligent eyes and a warm smile that lit up her whole face. "Good afternoon," Chloe greeted her. "Can I help you find something?" The woman's face brightened. "Oh, what a lovely smile. Are you working here alone, dear?" "Yes, ma'am, just me today." The grandmother browsed, but Chloe noticed she kept glancing back, studying her with curious eyes. "You know," the woman said, picking up a decorative item, "you have such a warm heart, I can tell." "Are you married, dear?" Chloe laughed, caught off guard. "No, ma'am, I'm not." "Ah, neither is my grandson." The grandmother sighed dramatically. "So handsome, so successful, but does he settle down?" "No, always working, never makes time for love. And I want great-grandchildren before I die." Chloe smiled politely, not sure what to say. "You would be perfect for him," the grandmother continued, eyes sparkling. "Beautiful, kind, good heart. Do you have a boyfriend?" No, but..." "Perfect. My grandson needs someone genuine, someone real, not these girls who only care about money." She patted Chloe's arm. "You'd be perfect for him. A grandmother knows these things." Before Chloe could respond, the door chimed. Chloe turned, and her heart stopped. Sai-woo walked in, the bodyguard behind him. Their eyes met across the shop. His widened in recognition. "Grandmother," he said, never looking away from Chloe. "I've been looking for you." The grandmother turned, delighted. "Oh, there you are. I was just talking to this lovely young woman. Isn't she beautiful?" Chloe couldn't breathe. The grandmother looked between them, eyes narrowing. "Wait, you're looking at each other strangely. Do you two know each other?" Sai-woo's lips twitched with amusement. "We've met. On Valentine's Day. At a restaurant." The grandmother gasped. "Valentine's Day? You went out? My grandson who never dates?" Sai-woo opened his mouth to explain how they met. Chloe panicked. She ran across the shop and slapped her hand over his mouth, her other hand landing on his chest. The grandmother's mouth fell open, the bodyguard's eyes went huge. Sai-woo just stood there, eyes dancing with amusement, smiling beneath her palm. Chloe shook her head frantically, silently begging him not to tell the embarrassing story. He gently took her hand off his mouth, holding it for a moment before releasing it. "We met at a restaurant. It was memorable." The grandmother was beaming. "This is wonderful. You must come to dinner, both of you. Sunday, 6 o'clock. "Oh no, I couldn't," Chloe started. "I insist. Sunday." The grandmother took Sai-woo's arm. "You'll pick her up, won't you?" Sai-woo looked at Chloe, asking silently. "Yes," Chloe heard herself say. "I'd like that." They left. Chloe stood there touching her cheek where the grandmother had kissed her, wondering what just happened. That night she told Yuna about the dinner invitation. "His grandmother invited me to dinner." "What's his name?" Yuna asked. I don't know." "You don't know his name?" Yuna grabbed her phone. "Describe him." "Tall, Korean, handsome, black hair, expensive suits, dragon tattoo on his neck, always has a bodyguard." Yuna's face went pale as she typed. She showed Chloe the phone. News articles, blurry photos. Words like organized crime and dangerous. Then a clearer photo, Si-woo in profile, the dragon tattoo visible. Kim Si-woo, Mafia King. "I put my hands on a Mafia King's face," Chloe whispered. "You put your hands on a Mafia King's face?" They both screamed. The neighbor banged on the wall. "I can't go to dinner. He's a criminal." "Exactly. You're not going." The next few days passed in a blur of anxiety and anticipation. Chloe changed her mind about going approximately 47 times. Yuna kept showing her news articles, warning her about dangerous men and dangerous lives, but Chloe couldn't shake the memory of Sai-woo's hand in hers, his smile, his gentleness. Sunday arrived too quickly and not quickly enough. Chloe was sitting on the couch in her pajamas at 5:30, eating ice cream straight from the tub and trying to convince herself she was too sick to go. "I'm not going," she announced to Yuna. "I'm just not going." "Okay," Yuna said, which was suspicious because Yuna never agreed that easily. "I mean it. I'll just pretend I forgot, or I'll say I'm sick, or..." The knock at the door made them both freeze. "You don't think," Chloe whispered. Another knock, louder this time. Yuna looked through the peephole and her eyes went huge. She mouthed, "It's him," and pointed at the door frantically. "I know you're in there," Si-woo's voice came through the door, calm and slightly amused. "I can hear you." Chloe covered her face with her hands. This was not happening. I'm not feeling well, she called out. Really? What symptoms? Yuna was making answer the door gestures, but Chloe shook her head violently. Fever, and cough, and stomach problems? There was a pause. Then, my grandmother is a traditional healer. She'll fix you right up. You have 15 minutes to get ready. I can't. 15 minutes. Unless you want me to come in there and carry you out myself. He said it lightly, almost playfully, but something in his tone suggested he absolutely would do it. Yuna grabbed Chloe's arm. Girl, you cannot keep a Mafia king waiting in our hallway. That's how people end up in concrete. He wouldn't, Chloe started, but Yuna was already marching to the door. Don't you dare, Chloe hissed, but it was too late. Yuna threw open the door with a bright smile. Saiwoo stood there in a dark suit, looking impossibly handsome. The standing man was behind him, as always, his face professionally blank. Good evening, Saiwoo said politely, his eyes already finding Chloe on the couch in her ice-cream-stained pajamas. Good evening, Yuna chirped. She mouthed you're welcome at Chloe, gave Siwoo a thumbs up, and then retreated into the apartment. Siwoo looked at Chloe. Chloe looked at Siwoo. The standing man looked at the ceiling. Nice pajamas, Siwoo observed. I told you I'm sick. You look fine to me. Looks can be deceiving, like dating app profiles. His lips twitched. Fair point. But my grandmother is expecting you. Are you really going to disappoint an old woman? That's emotional manipulation. That's stating facts. He leaned against the doorframe. 15 minutes, Chloe, or I start counting down, and trust me, you don't want to see what happens when I reach 0. Is that a threat? It's a promise. They stared at each other. Chloe felt her resolve crumbling under the weight of his steady gaze. Yuna poked her head out from the hallway. For the love of God, just go. I'll pick your outfit. She disappeared again. Chloe sighed in defeat. Fine, 15 minutes. But I'm only doing this because your grandmother was sweet. Whatever you need to tell yourself, Saiwoo said, and she could swear he was trying not to laugh. Yuna appeared with a beautiful navy blue dress and physically shoved Chloe toward the bedroom. 14 minutes of chaos later, Chloe emerged looking actually presentable, her hair styled, minimal makeup applied, the dress fitting perfectly. Saiwoo's eyes tracked over her slowly, and something in his expression made Chloe's breath catch. Better, he said quietly, but his voice had gone softer, warmer. The standing man's eyes widened slightly, then he quickly looked away. Yuna was practically vibrating with excitement, giving Chloe double thumbs up from behind Saiwoo's back. Saiwoo offered his arm. Chloe hesitated, then took it. His arm was solid under her hand, and she could feel the warmth of him through the expensive fabric of his suit. As they walked toward the elevator, Yuna leaned out the door. Have her home by midnight or I'm calling the police. Saiwoo glanced back, amused. You know who I am, right? I don't care. Midnight. In the elevator, Chloe groaned. I'm so sorry about her. Don't be. It's good that you have someone who protects you. He paused. Even if her threats are somewhat optimistic, despite her nervousness, Chloe laughed. They all stood in the elevator, awkward silence. Chloe is hyper-aware of everything. His presence beside her, the faint scent of his cologne, expensive obviously, the way the second in command stands perfectly still in the corner like a statue. She clears her throat. So, Saiwoo glances down at her. Yes, I know who you are. The elevator is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. The second in command's eyes flicker toward them, but he doesn't move. Saiwoo doesn't react. Just keeps looking straight ahead. Do you? She swallows hard. You're not just a regular guy. You're careful, he interrupts quietly. Elevators have ears. Her mouth snaps shut. The elevator dings. Ground floor. A sleek black luxury car is waiting. It looks like it costs more than her entire year's salary. The second in command moves ahead and opens the back door. Saiwoo gestures for her to get in first. She hesitates at the car door, looking up at him. Should I be scared? She whispers. He looks down at her, and for the first time his expression is completely serious. Of me? She nods. He's quiet for a long moment, studying her face. Then, not if you haven't done anything wrong? I haven't? Then you have nothing to worry about. He places a gentle hand on her lower back, guiding her into the car. Get in. My grandmother doesn't like to be kept waiting. She slides into the car. The seats are leather, real leather. There's even a minibar. He gets in beside her, and the second-in-command closes the door before getting into the front passenger seat. Another man she hadn't noticed before is driving. The car starts moving. Chloe sat as far from him as possible, practically pressed against the car door. After a few minutes, he speaks without looking at her. "You can relax. I don't bite." "That's exactly what someone who bites would say," she mutters before she can stop herself. He actually laughs, a real genuine laugh. Even the second-in-command glances back in surprise. "Fair point," Saiwoo admits, still smiling. She can't help it. She smiles a little too. "So," he says, turning slightly toward her. "My grandmother really likes you. She doesn't even know me. She knows enough. She has good instincts about people." He pauses. "And she's usually right." Chloe fidgets with her dress. "Why did you really come to pick me up? You could have just sent a car." He's quiet for a moment. "Then, would you have gotten in a car if I wasn't in it?" "No." "Exactly." He looks out the window. "Besides, my grandmother would have asked why I didn't come personally. And I don't like disappointing her." "So this is all for your grandmother?" He turns back to her, and there's something unreadable in his eyes. "Is that what you think?" Her breath catches. She doesn't know how to answer that. Before she can say anything, the car slows down. "We're here," the driver announces. Chloe looks out the window. They're in front of a beautiful traditional Korean house, not a mansion but elegant and well-maintained, with a small garden in front. Saiwoo gets out first, then offers his hand to help her out of the car. She takes it, and as she steps out, he leans in close and whispers, "One more thing." "What?" "My grandmother doesn't know about my work, and I'd like to keep it that way." She nods quickly. "Of course. Good." He straightens up and offers his arm again. "Ready?" She takes a deep breath. "No." He smiles. "You'll be fine. Just be yourself. That's why she likes you." The moment they step inside, Chloe is hit with the most amazing smell. Kimchi, stew, grilled meat, and freshly steamed rice. "Grandmother, we're here," Saiwoo calls out, slipping off his shoes. Chloe follows his lead, removing hers as well. "Finally!" Grandma's voice comes from the kitchen. "I thought you two got lost." She emerges from the kitchen wearing a floral apron, her face lighting up when she sees Chloe. "Oh! Oh my! Look at you! Even more beautiful than I remembered." Before Chloe can respond, Grandma rushes over and takes both her hands. "Come, come, dinner is almost ready, you must be starving." "Thank you so much for inviting me, ma'am." "Ma'am? No, call me Grandma." She pats Chloe's cheek affectionately. "You're practically family already." Chloe's eyes widen. What?" Saiwoo clears his throat. "Grandmother, you're scaring her." "Scaring her? I'm being welcoming." Grandma swats his arm, then turns back to Chloe. "Don't mind him. He has no romance in his soul. Now come, sit." She practically drags Chloe to the dining room, where a table is set with mountains of food. More food than 3 people could possibly eat. Chloe's jaw drops. "You made all of this?" Grandma beams with pride. "Of course. My grandson so rarely brings anyone home. This is a special occasion." She shoots a meaningful look at Saiwoo, who's leaning against the doorway with his arms crossed. He sighs. "Grandmother." "What? It's true. The last time you brought a girl home was... Actually, you've never brought a girl home." She claps her hands together. "This is special." Chloe feels her face getting hot. "Oh, we're just... friends." Saiwoo supplies quickly. Grandma's eyes narrow suspiciously. "Friends who dance together on Valentine's Day?" Chloe nearly chokes on air. "You told her about that?" Saiwoo actually looks slightly embarrassed, rubbing the back of his neck. "She asked why I was in such a good mood that day." "A good mood?" Grandma exclaims triumphantly. "My grandson, who never smiles, came home smiling and humming." "Humming? Do you know how long it's been since I've heard him hum?" "Grandmother, please." "And when I asked why, he said he met someone interesting at a restaurant." She turns to Chloe. "That was you. He was talking about you." Chloe doesn't know where to look. Siwoo is now very interested in the ceiling. The second-in-command, who's been standing silently in the corner, is clearly fighting back a smile. Grandma ushers them both to sit. Now, let's eat before the food gets cold." "You?" She points at Chloe. "Sit here, next to my grandson." "Oh, I can sit anywhere." "Next, to my grandson." Grandma's smile is sweet, but her tone leaves no room for argument. Chloe sits. Siwoo sits beside her, so close their arms almost touch. Grandma sits across from them, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Perfect. Now I can see you both clearly. Grandma immediately starts serving food onto Chloe's plate. Eat, eat, you're too thin. Grandmother, she's fine. And you. Grandma points her chopsticks at Sai-woo. When was the last time you had a home-cooked meal? You work too much. I eat. Restaurant food doesn't count. She turns back to Chloe. Do you cook? Chloe blinks. Yes, I can cook some things. Wonderful. A woman who can cook. My grandson needs someone who can take care of him. Grandmother, Sai-woo's ears are actually turning red. Chloe is trying very hard not to laugh. It's strange seeing this powerful, intimidating man being scolded by his tiny grandmother. Do you have a boyfriend? The grandmother asked suddenly. Chloe nearly choked. No, I don't. Good, because my grandson, grandmother. Sai-woo stood up quickly. I'm getting water. He escaped to the kitchen. The grandmother leaned forward conspiratorially. He likes you, you know. Chloe's heart skipped. My grandson, he likes you. A grandmother knows. I've been waiting years for him to show interest in someone. She got serious. His life is not easy, dangerous situations. But he needs someone who brings light, someone genuine. I saw how he looked at you tonight, like you were precious. Sai-woo returned, and the conversation shifted. After dinner, the grandmother showed Chloe her garden. Beauty takes patience, care, just like relationships. She shivered dramatically. It's cold, you two stay out here. She left them alone. Silence stretched. Chloe wrapped her arms around herself, cold. Sai-woo took off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. You don't have to. You're cold. They stood in the garden, city lights twinkling. Your grandmother is wonderful, Chloe said softly. She likes you. She's wrong about one thing, though. What? You're not cold. You're just careful. Guarded. He was quiet. You don't know what I've done. Maybe not, but I know you love your grandmother. I know you were kind to a stranger. That's enough for me, for now. He stared at her like she'd said something impossible. You should be afraid of me, should I? Yes, but I'm not. Because you make me feel safe. He stepped closer. That's dangerous thinking. Why? Because I'm dangerous. Are you? Dangerous to me? He tucked hair behind her ear, fingers lingering. No, never to you. She could barely breathe. I should take you home. Yeah, neither moved. Are you two kissing out there? Because if you are, I want pictures. They jumped apart, Chloe's face burning. Sai-woo frustrated but amused. I'm going to talk to her about boundaries. Chloe laughed. The drive home was quiet, hands linked. At her door, Sai-woo walked her up. Thank you for tonight. Will I see you again? Do you want to? Yes. He took both her hands. Good night, Chloe. Good night, Sai-woo. She kissed his cheek, then darted inside. She ran to her room and screamed into her pillow. Yuna came in. Well, I think I'm falling for him. The Mafia king? I know, it's crazy. Girl, you're gone. I know, and I don't even care. Hit that subscribe button if you're invested in this love story. The next day, Chloe went to work still thinking about Sai-woo. About his hands, his eyes, the almost kiss in the garden. At 5:30 the door chimed. Sai-woo walked in, dressed in black, looking devastating. The bodyguard hung back. Their eyes met. She smiled. He smiled back. Good evening. Can I help you? Yes, I'm looking for a gift, for someone special. Very special. He pulled out a velvet box and slid it across the counter. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with a tiny rose charm. From my grandmother's garden. She insisted I give it to you. Chloe's eyes filled with tears. This is beautiful. It's a start. To what? He took her hand. To us. If you'll give me a chance. I'm not easy to be with. My life is complicated. Dangerous. But I promise I'll keep you safe. I'll respect you. I'll never lie to you. The bodyguard turned away, examining greeting cards. And if I say yes, then I take you to dinner. Tonight. Just us. She held out her wrist. Put it on me? He fastened it gently, fingers lingering. So is that a yes? That's a yes. He smiled, really smiled. Tonight, 7 o'clock. I'll be ready. He started to leave, then came back, leaned over the counter and kissed her. Soft. Perfect. When he pulled away, he took a deep breath. I've been wanting to do that all day. Then do it again. He did. The bodyguard cleared his throat. Boss. Meeting. Sai-woo pulled away reluctantly. Tonight, After they left, Chloe called Yuna. He kissed me, the shop, 3 times. Screaming ensued. That night, Saiwoo took her to a beautiful restaurant. They talked for hours. He was honest about what he could be. There are things I can't tell you, to keep you safe. Can you accept that? Can you promise you'll always come back to me? I promise. And she believed him. The months that followed were perfect. Saiwoo kept every promise. He called when he said he would, brought her coffee, sent flowers, remembered everything. He introduced her to his world slowly. She saw glimpses of the dangerous man from the articles, but with her he was different, gentle, warm. Yuna remained cautious but couldn't deny Chloe's happiness. Just don't lose yourself. I won't. He likes me exactly as I am. 3 months after Valentine's Day, Chloe was at work when the grandmother walked in, grinning mischievously. My grandson sent me. He needs help picking a gift. For who? Someone very, very special. The door opened. Yuna walked in. She should have been at work. What are you doing here? Just visiting, Yuna said, but she was grinning and crying. Then Saiwoo entered. He looked nervous, scared even. He pulled out a small velvet box. Chloe's heart stopped. 3 months ago, Saiwoo began, his voice steady despite his nerves. A beautiful, chaotic woman sat at my table uninvited and turned my world upside down. Yuna was filming, crying. She made me laugh. She made me feel. She made me believe I could have something more. He walked around the counter and got down on one knee. Inside the box was a stunning diamond ring. I know it's fast, I know it's crazy, but I've never been more sure. Marry me, Chloe. Be my wife. Let me spend the rest of my life making you happy. Chloe was crying so hard she could barely see. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes! He slid the ring on her finger and kissed her while Yuna screamed. She said yes! The grandmother cried, happy tears. The bodyguard smiled and clapped. Random customers cheered. Yuna hugged them both. I knew it! Saiwoo looked at Yuna seriously. Thank you for taking care of her, for opening the door that night. Yuna teared up. You better take care of her, or Mafia king or not, I will end you. He smiled. I wouldn't expect anything less. The grandmother took Chloe's face. Welcome to the family, my dear. I knew from the moment I met you. Saiwoo pulled Chloe close. I love you. I will protect you, cherish you, forever. I love you too. And somewhere out there, a chubby catfish was still swiping on dating apps, using fake pictures, completely unaware that his dishonesty had accidentally created the greatest love story of all time. Sometimes the worst dates lead to the best love stories. Sometimes sitting at a stranger's table is exactly what you need. Sometimes the most dangerous person is actually the safest. Sometimes love just is. And sometimes that's enough. If you loved this Valentine's Day story, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment below. Would you sit at a stranger's table to escape a bad date? Have you ever been catfished? What's the craziest thing you've done for love? If this story made you smile, made you believe in unexpected love, share it with someone who needs hope. Share it with your best friend, your sister, that cousin who's given up on dating. Share it with anyone who needs to remember that sometimes the best love stories start with the worst dates.